What up, everybody? You are now tuned into AURN podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jonathan Elias, and I got my amazing hosts to my right. Let's start off with ladies first.
Where we going?
Star Rock.
I didn't know which camera. Star Rock.
Right.
And then we got my boy, Jay Hall.
Yeah, I'm here. You thought I was gone, thought I was laid off, but I'm here.
I'm here. Yeah. He had to beg for his job back.
That's
it. No.
I did.
We're so happy to be here in full effect. And not only that, we have my brother, King of Vibes, Teemanay. Woo!
What's up, brother?
I'm super hyped, first of all, because we've known each other for years.
Right.
And we followed each other's career, just journey. And I just want to say, I want to start off because, Black Kings, we need to start, celebrating each other. I celebrate you.
Thank you.
And I'm so proud of you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, killing it. Representing for Naija.
Yeah, Nigeria's in the building.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's Igbo and I'm Yoruba, but
Wow. You said unfortunately. Are you
Shots
serious?
fired.
nah, it's all love. It's all love.
I'm an
It's
angel,
all love.
though. Igbo angel. So.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
He said evil
Yoruba
angel.
demon. Igbo angel.
Yoruba demo.
It's a lot going on. It's Hampton versus Howard, Igbo versus Yoruba.
Listen. They keep on trying to separate us. All right, Teemanay, let everybody know who you are, where you from, what you do, and just talk about the vibes, man. Talk about the vibes.
Wow. I did not see that coming. Yeah. Teemanay is an Afrobeat artist from Nigeria, obviously. Igbo angel, a singer, a songwriter, a producer, composer, human rights activist as well. I like to call myself a Pan-Africanist because I have not only lived in Nigeria, I've lived in South Africa, I've been to Ghana. So, I've been to a couple places in Africa that has actually, been a part of my growth as an artist. And now I'm here in the States. So these environments have influenced my creativity as an artist. So it kind of influenced me in creating my sound and the kind of music I make, which is a vibe. Mm-hmm. And people always say this vibe is addictive. I didn't make that word. The fans made up that word. So Teemanay is pretty much an artist, that's what I am.
Oh.
So, I know your fans they're the Vibes gang, right?
Look at you.
I did my research. No,
That's right.
Your music is dope. Like, it's so funny because
Thank
you're so like laid back, but I was like watching your performances and stuff, and I was like, yo, he's dope. But I want to say, like, I read somewhere that your music is inspired by like a hodgepodge of like R&B, dancehall. Definitely can hear that, and then of course Afrobeats. Talk about that because you call it Afro Switch.
Yeah,
right?
Afro Switch.
Elaborate on that.
Yeah, Afro Switch is a word I coined when I was trying to create my sound. And, it's a combination of my environments, everywhere I have lived and the music I have grown up with. Growing up as a kid, my dad played a lot of mixed sounds in the house. We had the vinyl, the turntable.
Yeah.
We used to call it now, we call it turntable.
Yeah.
So, he played a lot of Bob Marley, a lot of reggae music, and Fela Kuti.
Ooh.
So this
Yes.
mixtures kind of affected me while growing up. That's what I listened to a lot. And then in my adolescent years, while getting into high school and all, my elder sisters, my siblings, because I'm the last of 5, they play a lot of R&B music. They played the Boys to Men, the Craig Davids from UK, the All For One. It was it was a mixture of all this sounds. So I was musically inclined quite on time, even though I was going to be a medical, a doctor. I was in the medical field in my career, but music was like a part of my life. If I'm reading, I have my head locked up with music. I don't know how that happens, but the music kind of helps me focus. Mm-hmm. So if I'm trying to go to sleep, I listen to music. It don't make sense, but if the music is not on, I can't fall asleep. Mm-hmm. So it was weird. So that's how I created the sound that, was a combination of everything. So actually that sound I discovered that sound after I had moved to the States. I'm talking about America. Because I was still trying to find myself, find my sound, do my first music. But when I got to New York, I linked up with my producer in London. His name is Jalon. He's also Nigerian, Yoruba demon.
Always the ones that make you the money.
Shout out to Jalon, my boy. So we both created the sound together, because I play instruments. And I wanted to make something that doesn't really sound like I wanted to sound like, I didn't want to sound like anyone else. I wanted to sound like myself. So I decided to create something new. So I had the influence of R&B, I had the influence of reggae and dancehall, and originally I'm Afrobeats. So what was the point? I said, what if I put the three together and create a sound and then sing on it and make sure it sounds like me, what I'm comfortable with. So if you notice, most of my songs, I don't really have the strong dialect in it. There's a mixture of a lot of English in my song. So a lot of people can relate to what I'm saying, understand what I'm talking about, even though I'm singing on an Afro beat. That's why I call it Afro Switch.
Love it.
Yeah.
When you talk about being the vibe king and all of that, and the word vibe itself has been becoming like very trendy. Like people use it all the time. Like my goddaughter be like, I'm trying to catch a vibe, and she be like, what are you doing? Like you haven't lived life enough to know what a vibe is and stuff like that. But a lot of times when it comes to music, it can become this thing where a lot of the musicians now, they're kind of making songs off the feeling more so than the structure. But for you personally, how is your creative process? Because you named a lot of instruments and different genres of music. What's your creative process when you actually making a record?
The first thing is I have to feel the vibe. So
On brand.
yeah.
Okay.
On brand. Yeah.
And the vibe then has to be addictive, because you could feel a certain vibe and tomorrow morning you don't really feel it no more. You know, as creatives, sometimes we make music and listen to it for a minute, and a week later you don't really want to put it out anymore because you feel it's not up to standard anymore. So my creative process is the vibe, and then most importantly, the sound has to be timeless, in the sense that I want a sound that you could listen to a decade after now and still feel the way it made you feel. So more of a legacy artist kind of creative process. So when I'm making a song, I'm thinking about not just myself, about how I feel. I'm thinking about how the receivers, the audience are going to listen to it. So I already can imagine me performing the song. That's how far I think about the song to the people and connecting it with the people. And then I can imagine the people listening to the song. So if I'm making a certain type of song, I might say, oh, my head, this is a lounge kind of music. I hear people in a coffee shop, you know, working and listening to the song in the background. And then some other song, I'll be like, wow, this is a street type of sound. I hear people like in the clubs dancing to this one. And then I listen to another one I'm making. I'll be like, oh, this is like a beachside kind of sound. We call it the waterside kind of music, you know, whereby you're chilling on the island on a vacation. So I'm trying to project that energy into my creativity, whereby the music doesn't just stay with 3 months or the short term, and it just goes beyond my time. So the creative process is timeless.
I would like to say it does. It makes sense. That's why I want to comment on that. You know, I love that part of your process is thinking about how others are going to vibe with it and feel with it, and, you know, think about it. Because I remember we knew each other when we were doing stuff with Mina TV.
Yeah.
So I had a show called African Millennials, where it was just a bunch of African millennials talking about shit that happens to African millennials, you know. And then you had a show with 3 other Glitterati, Charlie, and I remember you as a host, you know, and like all our friends, that my co-hosts were like, no, he's a dope ass artist too. So I remember going to one of your performances and you performed Something Light. Dog, I was like, this beat, this song, I'm over there. I said immediately went to my phone and started finding it and like saved it, you know. So I appreciate that part of the process, because that's how I became a fan, you know, on top of just a friend, you know, and a, you know, colleague. But it's successful. Your process is successful, you know, because that's how it got me.
Appreciate that. Look at the Yoruba demon coming.
You see what I'm saying? We're smooth with our words. Listen,
And I literally have no idea what everyone's talking about. I'm just gonna point that out.
I think
And that's
like
what colonization does to the 1619. Because I'm sitting over here like,
Hey,
just
and you know, and that's why it's so important.
Yeah.
We were just talking about, you know, getting, you know, finding out like ancestry DNA or 123me or all that, and like going back and actually learning more about the culture that I tell my friends. I've done it. Both my parents are African. I got Eritrean on one side and Nigerian on the other side, and I still did it
Wow.
because I wanted to know like deeper, where is it gonna go? So I tell all my American friends, please do that. It's such a blessing and an honor to know the roots.
And you know, for me, like growing up in New York, it's so interesting. Like when I meet Black people from like other parts of the United States, and like how they were kind of just in these silos where it was just everyone was like we're all of our roots are from the South. And I'm like, no, when I like growing up in New York, we were around all kinds of black people, African, Caribbean. Like it was like a mini Wakanda. So you're always exposed to these different sounds and these different music. So I know New York is a good place for you because we love some Afrobeats. And that's what I loved about growing up here, because you could be at a party and they might start playing merengue and everybody will be like, okay,
start doing
it. Then they switch to Biggie and it's like, okay.
I'm not going to hold you. That was wild for me, though. Because
I know
I'm
that
from
can be
LA.
culture shock for people. Yeah,
I'm from LA. Yeah. The only culture we got is Mexicans. Like, no shade. No, it
was the same.
I've heard that a lot from people that have moved from LA and just other different cities.
Yeah.
Because my friend in LA, he's also an Afrobeat artist, and he's kind of struggling with the environment. You know, we're trying to get them into the new sounds. He's like, I go into clubs, I go into places and try to promote my music, and the music they're playing is nothing close to my music, so it's hard for them to switch from that kind of music to play an Afrobeat. So if the DJ plays, it's gonna sound awkward.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, the East Coast, New York precisely, is like the melting pot for, you know, cultural diversity, and that has really helped us in the East Coast because landing here, I actually wasn't coming here. When I was coming to the city, I was going to Atlanta, although Atlanta is still a good, you know, place for promotion of your music, but for some reason the friend I was going to leave with in Atlanta flaked, so I had to stay in New York.
Jeez.
That was God. I you know, settled in New York, started trying to go around, and then I went into a Starbucks. That was the first time I had Afrobeat music, and that was the first year I came, 2017. I went into Starbucks to get coffee, and I had Afrobeat. I had techno. Baby,
techno. Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I had to bring out my phone and record it because it was a big moment for me, you know? And that gave me an affirmation that, wow, if this is really happening here, that means someday my music can make it to the radio. That was just all I felt, because whenever I see another Afrobeat song or Afrobeat artist excelling, the first thing that comes to my mind is the excitement. I don't feel like the pressure, like, why is it not me? Rather, I'm excited because it's an affirmation that someday soon it was going to happen. And my song actually make it to Power 105 on the radio. They started playing my song on the big radio. And so my friend in California is like, bro, your song is on the radio in New York? I feel like that's going to happen for me 10 years from now. I'm like, nah, come on, bro.
You named about 5 different countries, like you said, like London and Nigeria and all these things. And what I noticed with international artists, there's still something about the American audience that they, you know, they want to put their imprint on. Is that in the internet world with social media, is that still important, like for you in particular? Like, is it okay to still do your thing and you don't necessarily have to have like our stamp or approval or love? You can just still be successful everywhere else, or is it not important to you?
At this point, I would say the audience is all I need. The stamp of approval, I don't need.
Okay.
You know, I'm very comfortable with how much Afrobeats has been promoted and how much Afrobeat is well known globally now. So it's more of a global sound, because at some point people didn't really understand the difference between Afrobeats and dancehall. People were thinking Afrobeat was dancehall music and Caribbean music, even up until now. And I was in a ride with someone recently, a lady, and she said that Afrobeat is glorified African dancehall. And I was like, excuse me, man, have you ever been to Africa? She said, no. I said, do you know the history of Afrobeat? She said, no. Then I said, then you don't have a right to speak on Afrobeat.
Come on.
Because you don't know the sound. All black people are from Africa.
The roots are in the drum. I got to say.
Caribbeans are from Africa. African Americans are from Africa. British people, the blacks in London are from Africa. So you cannot tell me that anything coming out of Africa is a glorified version of anything. Anything outside Africa is a glorified version of what is or what was in Africa. So I don't really need the stamp of approval anymore. I would admit that when I first came, I felt like, wow, I needed this, you know, because it was really exciting to like see other people play our music. But most importantly, what I want is for my black people in America to come home. That's all I want. That's all I need. I want to see everybody come home once or twice a year, invest back home, you know, buy lands, do properties, do exchange, you know, exchange of investments and things, and see how much their money will grow for them without having to pay too much tax.
So it's like strengthening the relationship, and that's why the Black American audience is so targeted to be like, boom. Because I read years ago that Bob Marley, that was something that he really he wanted that Black American audience because he felt like they can identify, and a lot of them didn't identify with him until he passed.
They did.
Yeah.
They actually did. And I'm really happy where we are now in terms of relationship. I'm talking about the African American community and the Africans. It's amazing. There's so much exchange of culture right now. And thanks to music, because those are like the three major things that you can use to like introduce your culture: the music, the food, and the clothes.
Yeah.
So now the music has really gone a long way. I'm talking about Afrobeats to bring people back home. Before the pandemic, they did the Year of the Return in 2019.
Ghana.
There was so many of y'all in
So
Ghana.
many.
Ghana was packed. You know, it was so exciting.
Was that the Afrochella?
Yes.
Afrochella,
Yeah.
every other
Yeah.
thing. Even
They had
bro,
a bunch of stuff.
Trying to get
whole
that Mansa Musa money.
Listen,
That's what it is, bro.
So I gotta say, so like growing up, I used to take dance classes and African dance, and I had this teacher who she was Black American, but she spent a lot of time like traveling around Africa. Like she lived in Nigeria for a little bit and was like learning dance there.
Right.
And I'll never forget, like she used to be like, you know, we're kids, so we kind of used to think some of it was corny, like whatever, but it really stuck because like she would talk about like, you know, the drums is the language of our people, and she would talk about how even when we were over here as slaves and like the rhythm developed.
Yeah.
So funny story, first time I went to the continent, I went to Ghana. This was like in 2014, and I remember my tour guide, we were driving around and we like passed a wedding or something, and the people were in there, they were drumming, and he was like, oh, I could tell they're from the north. I was like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Right.
And he was like, it's the drums. And then
Right.
that dance teacher that was telling me that, I was like, oh, so she really she knew her stuff. Like it all comes full circle.
And even if you trace it back to history of slavery, when the Africans were moved down here, and it got to a point where, you know, they wanted to like seal their mouths so they couldn't speak. So the way of communication was through drums and different sound. It was definitely what they brought with them, the culture and the knowledge they had already that was already instilled in them. That was how they could use drums to communicate. So all the percussions and sounds all come from home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I want to ask, you know, since we have seen the growth of Afrobeats, you know, like we've known about Afrobeats years and years and years before it became
What it
globally,
is now,
you know,
because it's in Madison Square Garden now.
like Burna Boy, like
Yeah.
I knew about it 2 summers ago.
see what I'm saying? And
Like,
that's,
real talk.
That's but like it's so amazing to see, you know, the growth. What do you think about mainstream artists now, you know, kind of going into it? Because we got Chris Brown and Wizkid, but like Chris Brown is like blowing up because of this Afrobeat song.
Usher
and
too.
Usher,
Usher, yeah.
Usher, we got Drake, you know what I mean? Do you feel some type of way just because, you know, this is your blood, and it's almost like now they weren't really, you know, with it back then, but now since it's highly glorified, you know, they're a part of it? Or are you like, this is part of the journey of making it, you know, a staple genre, you know?
Actually, I feel like I feel flattered. I don't feel a type of way. Like, why is Chris Brown jumping on Afrobeat now? You know, I feel flattered rather because Chris Brown is Black, and he's now seeing that, oh my God, this is from my root and this is really big. I should be a part of it. It's bringing me home. You know, Beyonce made a whole Afrobeat album, you know, but she didn't do it by herself. She communicated with the Afrobeat community. She got them on the tracks, you know, got them to write the songs. You know, that's not cultural appropriation. That is respecting the culture.
Yeah.
That's cultural appreciation. Thank you.
There you go.
I feel like the way they're going about it, people the likes of Chris Brown, Drake, and the others, is the way I wanted to go about. You know, I would be mad if some rock and roll
White person.
Right.
producer from in the
Gotcha.
studio that doesn't even
Miley
understand
Cyrus.
our precautions, you know, just go into her studio with her producer and make something and come back and say, they make me colo.
Right. Like what?
Get out of here.
The Jay-Z songs, come
Wait.
on.
So let me ask, you know, perfect example. How about Justin Bieber when he came on the remix
was on
of
the
Wizkid
Wizkid
and
song.
Tim's,
Yeah, but
and then they
actually-
cut my favorite part of Tim's part for Justin
his.
Bieber's part. I'm like,
I know the community.
I
was
felt
tight.
some
I
type
was
of
like,
way.
The community was tight, and I mean, he actually came to their song, you know, so he didn't really do it on his own. But at the end of the day, we all still loved the original version more. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, there you go.
Originality.
There you go.
You know, there's a saying that if you know be Panadol, you know if he'd be like Panadol. Meaning like meaning that no matter how much you try to like copy something, like plagiarize it, it can never be like the original one. So that's it.
Wow.
That's real.
And you have a an EP out with
Yeah.
Akon. Is that one of your most recent projects?
Yes. my most
Talk
recent.
about that. How did your
On
creative-
Times Square, billboards
Yeah,
and
then
everything.
you were just at the Barclays Center, right? You just performed
Yeah.
outside. Okay.
My man's is doing
I
it.
mean,
My man's is doing it.
So, but talk about your project with Akon. It's an EP, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, right? So talk about that and how did your creative journey?
Happen.
Yeah, how did you get to Akon? How did he find you?
Ooh, that's a different story. Actually, that happened in 2019. Finding me, and it's crazy because my manager at the time named CB. So one lovely sunny afternoon, I think around September 2019, he called me. He usually calls me for events. I think that was just a little bit after New York Fashion Week. We went to a couple of events, so I was already drained from these events because you know how Fashion Week be.
No joke.
I was tired, and then he called me, and he was like, T, what you doing? I was like, I'm taking a nap. And he was like, can you come to the city right now? Like, Manhattan. I was like, for what? He said, just come. Okay, whatever. So I put on a hoodie and a jean, and I came to the city. I met Hoodie and CB in his car. So I stepped into his car. He was playing my music. I'm like, so what are we doing here? Well, I just wait. We want to meet someone. So I was waiting in the car somewhere on 21st Street. And the building by where we parked, somebody just came out of the building in an all-white dress, very black man with an all-white dress. And I looked again. I was like, wait, that's Akon. That looks like Akon. So CB started laughing. I'm like, why are you laughing? That's Akon, right? And then Akon was walking towards the car. I'm like, wait, he's walking towards the car.
Wow.
Can I go say hi? She was like, yeah, go say hi to Akon. So I step out of the car to say hi to Akon. And the next thing he opens his, I'm like, yo, T, what's up? I was like, bro,
I love it.
let me die right now. Wait, he knows my name? And he was like, yo, and then he stepped into our car. So prior to that, CB already made the arrangements, and I didn't know about
no
it.
idea.
So that was the first time I ever met
Okay, because I was about to say Akon just stepped aside some stranger's
No,
car.
obviously.
Yeah.
Yo, CB knew
I know.
it.
I'm glad you covered that up. Cause I'm like,
So that was
Like,
it.
whoa.
We drove around for about 2 hours in the city, and playing my music on the car. And he had already listened to some of them, and he was like, "I love what I hear. Like, you're different. Your sound is amazing." And we talked and talked and talked. We took him to the airport, and he left because he was leaving the country that day. And that was the first time I met him. Then the next month he came, and the next thing he came with a deal, and God, that was it.
The deal was right.
Yeah, he didn't play. He meant his words. So speaking about the project, Convy Culture presents Teemanay. That's my first EP under the label. We just released it a couple of weeks ago. So what happened was we went to Grammys. My manager Richard Dean took me to the Grammys in March, and after we did the red carpet thing, you know how Grammys be. So it was a lot of noise, a lot of buzz back home and here. Teemanay at the Grammys, this and that. And, there was a lot of buzz, but Akon was in California at that time, and the Grammys was in Vegas. So he called me again. He was like, yo, T, are you still on the West Coast? I said, no, I'm back in New York. And he was like, take the next plane and come back to California. We got to make a song.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. First of all, this guy's in my bucket list as a career. Somebody you want to meet. Somebody I want to meet in my career. And then he wants to make a song with me. I was like,
That's
I'm
so
available. Let's go.
Okay.
So I went to California with my manager, Richard Dean. We met him, and we relaxed that day. The next day, we went into the studio, and we started making songs. He wanted to hear what I had. I played a couple of sounds. He loved it. One of the songs from my producer, Jalon, we both created the sounds together, Afro Switch, and he jumped on it. And he was like, no, we got to do more. I'm like, more?
Come on.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And then he played another beat from Spells. Spells is a Nigerian producer, one of Wizkid's producers. Shout out to Spells. And we made another song called Selfish. That was the first track on the EP.
Yep.
And it sounded good. So he was like, let's take a break. Let's go for dinner. We'll continue tomorrow. We went in the next day and we made all the other songs. And the whole EP was done in 2 days. That was amazing. So it was supposed to be a record, one song, a collaboration. And then it became a whole EP.
That's
So
a
that's the
dream.
vibe. So that's what we mean when we said the
The
vibe is
vibe.
I hear
addictive.
you. I hear you.
It's addictive.
I mean, everybody's vibe doesn't get a Grammy Award winning artist, but that's something to shoot for.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
grateful.
I gotta say, your music, it sounds like you created for like kind of like a, I don't know how to explain it, like a aerial experience, like I don't know, it's like
out of this world kind of experience, and then back
yeah.
into this world. Yeah,
and if you put
I'm
it on
grateful.
the right sound system,
Oh yeah.
The production.
Yeah.
The production is amazing. I'm very particular when it comes to my music. I'm not a perfectionist in life, but in my music, I'm a perfectionist. So I have to listen to it over and over again. And if I don't like something, we're gonna take it out and fix it back. You know, even the project, the EP, we went through the mixing back and forth. Me, Akon, and the engineer. Shout out to Matt Weiss, is the label engineer for Convict. We mixed, you know, we're going back and forth, take this out, cut this to 3 minutes, do this, do that, you know. And Akon actually agreed. He allowed me to, like, you know, be in the creative process of that. He didn't really like, you know, some bosses like that, you would not even want to allow you to put your input. But Akon actually allowed me to have a say in everything. You know, when he gets any version of the songs, he would send it to me and create a group thread, like a group text between me and the engineer. And he would be like, T, do you like this? Do you like the way you sound? You know? And if I say I love the way I sound, he will put the fire emoji. He'll be like, okay, let's go. It was amazing. It was a great experience.
I would love to know, kind of segue into, you know, what's going on now. You know, Janet Jackson is having a 25-year anniversary for Velvet Rope.
I knew it was going to come up.
Janet, if you seeing this,
Mother,
auntie, wifey, you're everything to me. But shout out to her, because I remember getting that album. But I say that because I remember being young and just loving her collab with Beanie Man, Feel It Boy.
Mm-hmm.
That was such a dope sound, having Janet's, you know, beautiful, soft but sensual sound to Beanie Man's reggae beat, and like him, and the video was just nice and chocolate, all of them on the beach. Who from old school would you like to collab with to make a new sound, like an Afrobeat and old school artist that you can, you know, make a vibe with?
I think I'm reaching too high, but
you ain't. No, hold on. You ain't never reaching too high.
Right. Never say that, because anything can happen.
Exactly.
But honestly, if I want to do that, from old school, or it don't really matter.
I don't want one of them young ones.
Pre 2000.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a long time. I was crying.
Listen.
Okay.
Listen. Okay, give us
let me
2000s.
Okay, 2000s. I would say I would love to work with Rihanna, because that would be a #1 record globally.
There you go.
Her voice, oh
Yeah.
my God, on a record with me, I don't even have to promote it. We just gotta release it.
That's it. Yeah, that would be
You may
hot.
have to, because she won't. She'll just be chilling.
Right,
She's Rihanna. She's
Yeah.
Rihanna.
But the fact that, you know,
That would be sick.
she has a stamp on that record, it would be a #1 record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're all looking for new music. You know,
Yeah,
I think she's
Rihanna,
gonna come out with the
please.
album at Super Bowl. We said that earlier. I think she's going.
Y'all keep saying that. She gonna come out with a product.
They definitely said
She gonna come out with a product.
They
yo.
definitely said
some more Fenty Beauty.
she was just
Right.
gonna
Turn
do
up.
makeup tutorials on
That's
stage.
that's all, man.
stop.
That's
Stage
all.
makeup.
Once you reach that B, it's a different level in life, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think she's gonna give the people what she want. I think she is.
Hopefully, we'll see.
You excited for that?
More
Super
than-
Bowl.
like when I first saw the TMZ you know, conversation,
Uh-huh.
and then later on that day she posted that,
Yeah.
I jumped up. I don't even watch football.
Yeah.
I jumped up. I was
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm watching. I was telling my girl, I was like, you sure we're not gonna buy tickets to that
Right.
place? I started searching tickets, but when I saw the price of the ticket, I'm like, I'll watch it on
We're
TV.
gonna have a Super Bowl party after I started. Hey, one day an Afrobeats artist is gonna be there. And
That's
gonna
my
be,
that's what I wanted
That's
to say.
very
Thank
doable.
you.
We have
Mhm.
Madison
Yeah.
Square Garden, Barclays, and then I think
Yeah.
is WizKid coming to Madison
Yeah,
Square
WizKid is
Garden.
gonna be in Madison
Yep.
next month.
So it's
Um,
doable.
Davido gonna be in the arena in Atlanta next month as well. The 21,000 capacity.
It's coming.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there too. So an Afrobeat artist is definitely gonna headline the Super Bowl one day.
Yeah.
Someday soon.
Speak it into existence.
There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
There we go. That's awesome.
Sure.
Well,
That was a good conversation.
yeah. All right, y'all. Well, like we said, y'all gotta support my boy. Before we head out, I want you to let them know everywhere they can stream your music. Check out everything and anything you got going on. I'm sure like performances that you're gonna have going on, like where they can check out all the updates.
Yeah, I actually have been on tour for a couple weeks now, almost 6 weeks.
Right. It was hard to
Did
get your ass up in here.
Yeah, I just came back from California. I did Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, New York, definitely. Detroit was one of the best.
What up,
I
though?
actually opened for Burna Boy.
Town.
That's where you from?
Yeah, most def. Most
Yeah,
def.
it was at
Yeah,
the,
just don't stand for Daryl.
It was at the Aretha Franklin Theater. It was,
Okay,
it was
yeah.
sold out. 7,000 people.
That's what's
Wow.
up.
Yeah, I opened for Burna Boy. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Richard Dean, my manager.
I mean,
She
and
got
I
me
can
that
tell
gig.
you from personal experience that shows the growth. Because there was a time when that type of music was playing, if you wasn't Shabba Ranks like a Grammy Award winning,
Right.
people just blink at you. They wouldn't boo, but they would just blink at you. So the fact that that's a signature place
Afrobeats.
that you did that, like that shows the growth of the culture within itself.
Yeah, and the support was amazing. They all turned their lights up. It's on my page.
Nice.
It was amazing. I was like, wow, my first time in Detroit. Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Love
something
it.
great. So next week I'll be in UK. I'll be in London, continuing the press run and promotions, and performing in a couple places for the project. Coffee Culture presents Teemanay. You can get my music on all platforms. It's Teemanay on all platforms. TEEMANAY. You could check everywhere but hell. Check Spotify, Apple,
Okay.
Tidal. You can even check Heaven. I'm there too.
There you
know?
go. There you go.
So,
Hey, well, we appreciate you coming through. The young Icon is in the building. We appreciate it. And thank you, hosts.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's good seeing everybody. I feel like it's been such a long time.
I know. We
good
got.
seeing everybody.
You missed our last conversation.
I know.
And I
with
was really
King.
sad. I was
You
really
were?
sad.
I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
Like you said, we gotta. I appreciate
each
that.
other,
He
man.
don't follow nobody though. You know what I'm saying? Not that we care, but
You know what's
he be
funny?
living his
He
life.
followed me. I found
Everyone
out he
follows
followed
Star.
me.
No one wants to
Listen,
No, no.
She just said the same thing the last time, and I
I
was like,
finally
I
got
don't
him to
be,
follow
I don't
me.
be on.
Dog,
the-
I don't care about
I get
that.
it.
on shit like that.
I
you know,
personally
but
don't care about that.
She got my phone. She said, "Here." I said, "Come on, let's do
sure
it."
did.
You know what
I
I mean?
sure
So do
did.
the same thing.
I got you, yo. I got you. It's all good.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much, man. Y'all, make sure you tune in for all of the others that we got coming up because we got some fire for y'all. Jonathan out.
And tune into the past ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real.
Shout out to T Money.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.